Hello everyone. Now, I immediately start creaking. It's my bones, you understand. It's been a while, or at least it felt like it's a while. It may just be the fact that it just took me a million hours to get this working, which means that it's very late at night, which means that I'm probably going to be talking slightly more quietly than I would usually do, because I'm terrified of waking everybody up already. I was going to have a little midnight drink of water. Okay, get myself ready here. So, not much has changed. Actually, I've been doing lots of other things in Elm. I always feel like I shouldn't do too much without you, off screen, as it were. And so I don't tend to mess around with the project that we're doing, which, for those of you who've never been here before, my little intro, we're doing a little open source project in Elm, which is a really interesting, slightly weird functional programming language. It's actually getting really popular, at least amongst Twitchers. There have been 2 new streams of people working on Elm projects. One of them by actually one of the major person in the Elm community, so that's super exciting. I'm just doing this humble program, which is basically a mind game, if you will, where you are presented by a little grid like this, and you have to remember where this blob was 2 steps back, and then you click the button. You click the button if it matches the blob's position 2 steps back, and then as you get clever at it, you gradually extend that number, and according to scientific tests, you get, well, probably not wiser, but you get more. You improve your working memory. So that's kind of what we've been working on. I have broken my own rule already, and actually fiddled with this a little bit when we were last looking at it. Let me just kick it up. So, oh, have we not got the? That should be running. Let's have a look. Is it running on another? Yes. Okay. All right. It's a little big. That's sort of interesting. Because there we go. So the things that I've been messing around with while you've been out of the room doing, I don't know, whatever you people do in internet land, I've been well, let's do a git diff, and you'll be able to see. It's not really that much, but it still felt like a betrayal, frankly. Just throw this thing up so I can see what's going on. Here we go. Oh, have I got? No, that's okay. Okay, so let's have a look at this diff. Really, what I mainly did was I'm running Elm using this super deep and very exciting thing called webpack, and webpack throws a lot of things into it that we don't really need at the moment. One of them, actually, this explains why the font was so huge, is that I was fiddling with it and I made the font slightly bigger because I couldn't see it, and now I clearly made it too big. And I think I've changed some descriptions, and yeah, I think that's, oh, and that's right, I've added my own style sheet to the whole thing. I think that's just to give us a chance to, there we go, to create our own stuff. I was fiddling around with getting some speech bubbles, just because I thought they would be useful. There was a CSS speech bubble generator. Here we go. I think this is it from ilikepixels.co.uk. I should probably put that in the collection of URLs. And this is kind of nice. You get to create a speech bubble, and then you get the source code for it. You get the CSS. It's all done in style sheets. So at the moment, and this is one of the reasons I'm sort of been dragging my feet, the bit that I'm working on at the moment is, in fact, mostly the instructions, not the most exciting part of any game. But we can still have some kind of that. All right. So that was the bubble, and I think I can get rid of that debug log. Here you can say this is done in Sass, which is the CSS sort of interpreter. And we're actually living in a bootstrap world. We're living in the Twitter framework, which I hadn't realized at the time. All of this comes with the Elm webpack package, which is another link I will stick in. There we go. I think this is it. Let's just check to see whether it is actually. I'm going to just look at where I got these in config. Looks like I removed it, but I originally pulled all of this from a Elm webpack loader. That's what I was looking at. Here we go. This is and it's from Richard T. Feldman, who's another alumni of, is that the right word? Cognoscenti, Illuminati, one of those. He's one of the big Elm folk, good person to watch and follow. No, I'm not signed yet. If you're interested in Elm. So I'll put those two links in. Let's get back to work. In terms of, I'm probably going to keep this pretty short. I always say that, but I probably am actually going to keep this short because it's really late at night here. I just wanted to not fall off the horse, if that's all right. All right, there we go. Last time I was using Visual Studio. I think I'm going to go back to using Visual Studio Code rather. And we did a little bit of. Can people see that? I've accidentally used the smaller font. It's probably okay. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I have these instructions here. Now the question is, do I really want to do all of the cleverness that we want to do in this text? You know, I don't think I do. I think what I'm just going to do is mess around with Markdown on this just to see if we can make it look a little bit prettier. Maybe put a little box around it. And then if we have time, the next big step is to perhaps refactor the main code to do both. You'll notice in these instructions we say that there's two parts to dual impact. This is the dual bit, where the spot will turn up, but also someone will say a letter, which is also a sort of stream of things that you have to remember. And so if you spot the spot in the same place as it was 2 steps back, you click one button, and if you hear the voice saying the same letter as 2 steps back, then you press another letter. So, all right. I think the main thing here I want to do is where does that? Where is this coming from? if we put stars in here. Gets reset. Its warning is that HTML does not have a type annotation. I can fix that pretty easily. I think this is. I think this type is. Let's have a look. What type does it think it is? No, I've forgotten how to use Vim. I knew this would happen.
Cloudy for Perseids.
No, is it?
Cloudy.
Oh man, I forgot about that. It's the Perseids tonight, and also tomorrow night, I think. But the San Francisco fog has kicked in. Unless one comes like plummeting through our roof. All right, let's have a look. Instructions, HTML. These warnings come up here. Why was I looking at them? God, I really have forgotten this. I think I remember them coming up in the terminal. All right. Well, this is definitely a string. One of the errors. Is this a string? No. This is. Right. Okay. Good. Interesting. Can't find type HTML. Okay. I think that's where that type comes from. All right, let's have a look. Markdown. HTML. Oh, I'm getting out of the habit of explaining what I do. Very poor Twitch streamer. Possibly because I'm not entirely sure what I am doing. There we go. So, the things about Elm, if you join us, is that it's a strongly typed language. And so, though we don't have to do it, it's a good idea to annotate each function or sort of top level variable with what it is. And so I was just saying this is a string, and this is HTML, although it's HTML in functional programming languages we'd say it's HTML over, I believe. Something else. There's something inside the HTML which is also carrying around with it. Fortunately, we don't need to know what that is, so I've just put it in. And effectively, I think I could have just put anything into here. So, yeah. This is just saying there's something here, we'll call it message, but we won't bother to specify it anymore. I think it was throwing up an error when I said that. Yeah, because it didn't know what none was. I was making it more concrete than it needed to. Okay, so it does do italics. Does it do bold? It's the same. Is that bold? No, that would be italics in any reasonable. How do I do bold? Focus on speed. Yes, but what branch of Markdown do you choose in the mysterious world of Markdowns? Let's try Markdown syntax. This is a page that I imagine millions of people visit over a year. Double stars. I guess so. It's like you may escape from 1995, but 1995 does not escape from you. This looks like Geocities. All right, let's put this here. I do have a sort of vision for how this should work. It involves lots of cute cartoons. I think we can at least try one of it. Will work. I guess we can put in whatever we want. Oh, okay. A little crunchy, but kind of works. I guess it's funny that we've got this sort of scrolling down feature, like we've just got this bunch of text, and Maybe we should have like a number of different panels explaining this with a kind of little next and more. Maybe. Good old HTML. I'm just putting this in to remind me to do a bit of keyboard styling so that people can recognize that these are keys. So this is getting sucked into the main game. This is like a sub-function, and in the main game, this is getting pulled in. This variable and this variable just commits to Elm's internal HTML representation, which is actually kind of creates the DOM, the bunch of nodes that make up this little bit of HTML, and then sucks it in to its own internal representation of it. And the good thing about that is that if things change, you can mess around with Elm's internal presentation of it, and then it will do clever magic to only change those bits in the main DOM, so you're not constantly changing the real web page, which actually takes a relatively long time to render compared to just messing with a data structure which isn't connected to the web page, the browser. All of this gets compiled into JavaScript, which is the other cool thing with Elm. All right, let's see. Ready to play? Start the game. Straightforward. I need to think about how to do that. Not going to be easy. I think I've made this much harder than it needed to be. I kind of want it to be a challenge to write and something nice to look at. Alright. That looks good. Let's go up to the main program, which somewhere here says welcome to dual them back twice. There we go. So this is what Elm actually looks like, and you can see here what this looks kind of like mock HTML, but with no pointy brackets and more square brackets. But actually, it's a set of functions. This div is a function. It takes two arguments. Arguments are separated by spaces rather than commas in Elm, and if you think that's weird, that's because it's a descendant of Haskell, I think, primarily, but all the ML languages have this structure, and it turns out to be really good for a lot of the ways that you things that you do with functional languages. Anyway, so we can take this out, take out this comma, it'll automatically reformat it, nothing terrible looks like it's happening there. Looks awful, but maybe we can change stuff a bit with a little styling here. All right, let's have a look at Bootstrap. I've been actually doing a lot of work in work. I use the term work slightly loosely here. I've been messing around with very exciting material design, the sort of Android design aesthetic, and there's a really good library for Elm called Elm-Mdl, and it does all of the components. It sort of creates a sort of a library that you can use in Elm that lets you do all of the funky Android-y kind of stuff. And let's see here, probably stuff that we would be looking at, yes, things like this. I'm not using that for this game, but I did play around with it, and I actually found a bug in Firefox. It was tremendously exciting because my partner works at Mozilla, so I was able to write a, if I can find it for you, a bug. It's probably still happening on this machine, actually. Let me show you it. I hope this isn't too much of a distraction, but do this live demo. Live demo has a demonstration of lists. One of the lists is a checklist, I think. Here we go. You see there are all these different options to turn things on. And then this one, it works here, but it doesn't work in the latest Firefox. And it just, nothing happens. And I tediously worked out, not tediously, actually, it was really fun. I set about carefully finding out, making sure that it was actually a Mozilla bug, and put together the minimal test case that you might need in order to trigger this bug. That's not me. Is it really? Oh, it is. It's a long time ago. Edit the search. Can I find it? Trouble is, it's closed now because they fixed it within a day. It was super exciting because it was actually a more widespread bug, and it was in the beta version. So they set about fixing it. It was like this one-line patch. It was great. I wonder if there's no. I'll look for it. Keep on my own stuff. These distractions should play no part in my life. Okay, so we're doing this. We're starting a game. Let's mess around with these styles. I guess. Sort of what we want is all like, "Rrr, rrr." Yeah, look at that. Not really what I want. Might be it. $17, all right. Just look at the images, see if there's anything that leaps out. Really see anything? Oops. Oh. Well, let's just mess around and randomizing. The main thing I think I would like to do is have this sit in the middle of the screen rather than on the side like this. Center block. Do I want to put this? So here's our main view. Oh yeah? Which div is expecting the first thing to be? Oh. Is it like that? Elm-Html, which is where we're pulling in all of this stuff. HTML attributes, that's what I'm looking for. Really thought that that's what you were supposed to do. It's a class. Oh, do I put attribute in front of it? Oh, I see. This may work. Yes, okay. What's that doing to us? Nothing. this, then we probably need still nothing. You know why this isn't working? I'm writing this in the wrong part of the program. This is going to center the game. Well, it doesn't even do that, but I wouldn't even know that was the case. Okay, let's get rid of all of that. Don't want to confuse matters. The main deck view is here. I think we need to create bootstrap stuff here. So one of the things about functional languages is you're always returning a value. Every line of code is returning a value. So this looks like a bit of, in a C-like program, this would be a statement, and in fact it's just a piece of code that returns either this value or this value. So I should be able to just stick it straight into this. Oops. Yeah, it's gonna return the same thing as it did before, but with a giant div around it. This is where I got the idea. This should be brackets. No. Style mismatch should be list. Okay. Sense. Yuck. But at least we know this is working. Bootstrap center block. Center block. Oh, do you require a larger screen? Well, that looks pretty straightforward. Let's convert this into Elmish. That's what I wanted. This is Linux cut and paste being a bit picky. My biggest complaint with Linux is actually that its cut and paste model never seems to work correctly for me. Okay, so let's say there should be an outer div here, just as we did before. Class row. Everything else is inside. And then this div should have class center block and a style of very similar to what we had, but with 300 pixels. I bet this makes it very unresponsive. It's going to be good on mobile, but we can go back and fix that if it did anything, which it's not. Oh, because put the outer thing around this. white space. I got stuck on what looks like a new declaration. It's that one. It's that one. Oh, this is my comment. Class is expecting one argument, but was given 3. To put a comma there. First and second elements. 2 different things. Can't argue with you there. This is supposed to return an attribute. This is supposed to return an attribute too. Ah. What happens if we do this? Okay. Not insane. Not a great choice of color, but not insane. This looks like a lunatic homepage. Alright, well that should be bigger, whatever happens. You should be centered too. I wonder if we can put center blocks within center blocks. No, that's going to be no. Okay. Just gonna check. Just gonna like randomly stick stuff into this. That's how we learn. Not really. Alright, it's 10 past. I am going to call it a night. Thank you very much for following along, if you were following along. It was pretty quiet up there, but that's because it's really late at night. Thank you, and I will continue this anon. Always good hanging out with the people of the internet. I'll play around with this a little bit, maybe get some graphics done next time. Okay, have a great rest of your evening, and keep following those meteors.